Well, a good way to open these U20 qualifiers in Concacaf as these two nations, Cayman Islands and Turks and Caicos Islands, got this competition underway in an entertaining fashion. A game that we expected to be evenly matched, tightly contested. We expected really good transition opportunities either way. That's exactly what we got, especially in the first half. This early chance hooked toward goal with the overhead kick, improvised by John Robertson, touched over the bar then by Aidan McLean. Not an easy save, actually, and McLean just able to touch it over. In the 10th minute, Cayman Islands took the lead. This ball toward the back line caused some difficulty for Turks and Caicos, and then the ball out from the goalkeeper, straight to the path of Ishmael Jones, who still needed to finish it well, and certainly did, as he bent it into that far corner. Again, the ball out wasn't great, but he still had a lot to do, and did it perfectly. And so Cayman Islands had the perfect start in the 10th minute. They were ahead by a 1-0, but just 7 minutes later, back came Turks and Caicos, and it was John Robertson with the outstanding finish. Robertson able to step into this fully, and he took full advantage. And so 1-1, just 17 minutes in. From a neutral standpoint, a great start to this game and this competition. Took a long time for the next goal to arrive. Turks and Caicos probably created more dangerous situations in the interim, but Cayman Islands were never out of this. They always were a threat in transition, especially whenever Ishmael Jones picked up the ball. He had another good strike later in the first half that was saved by Samuel Harvey. This chance just before halftime nearly gave Turks and Caicos the lead just beyond the slide, and so it was 1-1 going into the break. Second half a bit more attritional as both sides tired significantly and understandably in these very humid conditions. It was an excellent game for Skylar Silver. He was at the heart of a lot of the attacks, especially in the second half for Turks and Caicos, cutting that ball back for Davari Daniel, who couldn't quite get enough on it. Then Robertson had a great chance to grab his second of the game, put it straight at the keeper with his left-favored left foot, and was frustrated that he couldn't find a finish. Then there was the first card of the match that was issued to Turks and Caicos' Lewis McCabe. Heavy challenges throughout. Later there was a yellow sent out to Kamari Watler for Cayman Islands. But then the winner arrived, and in the 83rd minute, it was such a good finish once again. We saw 3 outstanding goals today. Italene Gardner off the bench, just 15 years old, playing in the U20s, and boy did he show he belonged. Outstanding finish. Again, shakiness at the back. All 3 goals the result of mistakes, but all 3 finished so well. And so it's Turks and Caicos who were able to grab the 3 points, and with terrific battle today between Puerto Rico and St. Kitts and Nevis. After both sides observed their national anthems with pride as usual. Opening match here in Group B at these CONCACAF U20 qualifiers for both nations. Puerto Rico certainly favored, but St. Kitts and Nevis showed almost from opening kickoff that they weren't going to be bullied in this game, and they intended to put up quite a fight. And that's what they provided throughout the 90 minutes. Very impressive showing from them. They forced the early handle from Nicholas Aristizabal, who ended up having a lot more to do in this game than I think he and his teammates might have anticipated coming in. So it remained goalless early, but in the 15th minute, that changed, and it was a fine goal. Great finish after a wonderful first touch from Isaiah Vicente. Watch how he sets himself up here, just juking around the defender to create that space, and the finish was low and precise, and Puerto Rico were off the mark in the 15th minute. St. Kitts and Nevis, though, could have had it back just a few minutes after that. Excellent through ball, and they were in with Zarik Bradshaw, who crashed his effort off the underside of the bar. And so it stayed 1-0 until late in the first half. There was a yellow card at around the half-hour mark to Leandre Williams for that push on Isaiah Vicente, who was certainly the main threat for Puerto Rico today. Later in the first half, there was this card to Eric Riviere, who's certainly involved in this game in many different ways. In the 41st minute, though, Puerto Rico grabbed a second goal, and that proved to be decisive. The initial save, but the ball spun and stayed in play. Talked about how on this pitch, at this field, the ball does tend to stay in play. And that really benefited Puerto Rico on this occasion, because instead of going out across the end line, it sat up invitingly and was finished off again by Isaiah Vicente. His second, Puerto Rico's second, and they were 2 goals ahead at the break. And you might have thought that would be that, and that they would pull further away in the second half and make this all academic. That did not turn out to be the case at all. St. Kitts and Nevis were every bit as energetic and lively and determined in the second half as they had been in the first, and they certainly went for it. This effort skying over the bar from Bradshaw, but they kept on pressing, and this was a good save from Arista Zabel as he denied Savik Morton, who otherwise might have curled it into that far side netting. Puerto Rico also had chances to put the game to bed, but they never could quite do it. Ashon Maynard was there when he needed to be in the second half, and there were some turnovers from Puerto Rico as well, and some chances that St. Kitts and Nevis will regret a bit when they look back on this game and seeing how close it was in the end. But they continue to create those turnovers, and finally they grabbed that goal in the 87th minute that they'd been threatening most of the day. And it was Riviere, who was still on the pitch with that yellow card, bursting through a fine backheel flick into his path as well. Great assist, good finish, good goal for St. Kitts and Nevis, but it would not be enough in the end, as Puerto Rico do enough to hang on. Well, a solid 3 points for Jamaica to open their Group B campaign here at the Concacaf U20 Qualifiers in 2026. It was a solid effort from Bonaire, big underdogs, the lowest seeded nation in this group, but they showed some good quality in this game, certainly showed some good defensive organization, especially for the first portion of the first half. Kept the scoreline down, had a few opportunities of their own at the other end. They especially had one early on, falling to the left foot here of Roangel Pineda, but not able to hit it as well as he would have liked, and it was a fairly straightforward save for Joshua Grant. Jamaica took a while to get going, and credit to Bonaire for a lot of that. But eventually there was a sequence where Jamaica were able to up the tempo, and Bonaire got a little bit out of control, and that was when Jamaica were able to grab the opening goal in the 25th minute. It was a cross toward the back post, headed against the post, and then headed home on the rebound. Sean Layton on hand in the right place and finishing well. And Jamaica a sigh of relief in the 25th minute as they grabbed the 1-0 advantage. There was a sequence of yellow cards later in the first half. Joshua Franz was the first into the book, and then a yellow card right after that for Ivar Bacalar for that going through the back of the player tackle. One of 3 cards that was handed out in the first half to Bonaire. In the 43rd minute, the second goal arrived. This was the one moment for Bonaire that they'll regret tonight. Just miscommunication at that stick. Goalkeeper and defender both thought the other would have it, neither did, and wound up in the net. And 2-0 Jamaica at halftime then. That felt like the game mostly dusted in terms of it being a contest. Bonaire had some decent moments in the attack, but weren't able to get enough into it. There was this yellow card shown to Jamoy Dennis, and that would become relevant about 10 minutes after that. Jamaica, though, first would grab that third goal. They had some opportunities to do it prior. This was a good save by Denyor Cecilia, who made about a half a dozen of them tonight at least. It was one of the reasons Bonaire were able to keep this a very competitive game throughout. But Jamaica introducing some substitutes. Their deep bench was able to create chances throughout the second half. This one at the near post, able to be gathered by Cecilia after he found the loose ball. But eventually that third goal would arrive. And it was good work, good strength initially by the substitute Marlon van der Wettering, who then swept it into the path of Raekwon Campbell-Dennis, who finished first time and very confidently and deftly. And that was game, set, and match for Jamaica. 3-0, 3 points, and a goal worthy of celebrations. There was a second yellow shown to Jamoy Dennis. After that heavy coming together, he was sent off, and so Jamaica had to finish the game with 10 men. But it didn't matter, as Bonaire weren't able to find a goal, and Jamaica find the 3 points.